All right, y'all, we got something a little different today. I want to talk about the state of gaming a little bit and what I think. Is it dead? Have things changed too much? Should we go back? Am I just a boomer? This video, I don't really know. The title looked interesting. The best It's Just a Game video ever made.
There's nothing to help these people or anybody else.
The main thing, real quick, the main thing I want to talk about, right? Gaming is my favorite pastime. Always has been ever since I was a little kid. Shout out to my parents for buying me games, even introducing me to video games. The thing with gaming is, yes, it's just, people think it's, mostly boomers, people think it's just like, you're just playing for fun. There's so much that I've learned and have gotten interested in just from playing video games. There are things you can learn from video games. Like, you can learn military terms, you can learn puzzles, you can learn analytical skills, you can learn math, you can learn just so much stuff you can learn. You can learn about music. Music is probably one of the biggest things for me in video games. Like, as soon as I heard that first guitar chord on this exact little clip here with Joel and Ellie, like, it brought me right back into the game. There's so much music I've gotten introduced to, and people always ask, like, oh, what type of music are you into? I'm like, everything. And the reason why is like, oh, he's black, he should just listen to, hip hop, rap, whatever. But like, I grew up on like WWE 2000, WrestleMania, so like NHL, like old NHL games. Like, so I heard heavy metal, I heard rock, I heard like just so many different types of music that, like, just playing the games, it just brings me back to those games, and I've always liked those music. So like, that's one of the biggest things for me is music and games. And there's still excellent games coming out, but they're not as common. The single player games are still pretty top tier, but games are just going so heavily now into multiplayer, and a lot of them are not good.
I know you wish things were different. I wish things were different. But they ain't.
Hideo Kojima made Death Stranding. Here it is. This game was, I was confused most of the time.
It would mean a lot to me.
Red Dead 2.
Please.
Because we know what happens next. They will come. They will try to take from us, take our guns.
I don't know what this
take
is.
Our freedom. Take our faith.
Call of Duty.
Please. We all fail.
Master Chief.
We all make mistakes.
Luckily, a lot of these games are still around, but like,
It's what makes us
Halo, like, yeah, it's still here, but they didn't even release a single player. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, multiplayer makes you more money, less time because you don't have to build a single player. But like,
You live a good life now, yeah.
come on, man.
All right, Arthur. I'll miss.
Me too.
And why is he here? He lost. As I always say, forgive your enemies.
I just love gaming, man. It's so good. It's the best form of media. My favorite game series of all time, Metal Gear. Hideo Kojima again. But yeah, like, it's just the best form of media. TV shows, I think the second best form of media is animation. It's because video games and anime, what they can do is, mainly video games are interactive, which makes them better. But what you can do with animated stuff instead of live action is you can create these expressions and scenarios that just are not obtainable with live action, real people, real things, unless you use an insane amount of CG, which looks bad and also is already like, it already ends up being an animation again, essentially, because it's so fake. Like, these are cutscenes in a game, and they look like a game, but like, if you try to say that's live action, it looks awful. You know what I mean? So yeah, gaming is just like the best form of media. You can interact with it. You can get super attached to characters. It doesn't have to be in a time frame with like, oh, you need a commercial break here, so we have to do 8 minutes of plot build up, then we do 15 minutes of plot breakdown, we reach a climax, another commercial break, end the show. You know what I mean? That's what movies need to do. That's what shows need to do. Gaming, you can do whatever you want with gaming. Movies and shows, you can kind of stretch it in between episodes, in between movies, but it's different when it's, you don't have to wait, you don't have to like conform to like so much stuff as much. Gaming, they still need to like, you know, have some kind of structure, but with a video game, you can have super drawn out small things. You can interact with that person if you want to. This isn't all games, but you know, you can do that thing if you want to. You can do it this certain way. You can take this path. Crash Bandicoot, simple game. Yeah, you can just go straight, but sometimes, ooh, there's a little side path over here. I want to take this side path and go this way instead. But if you're watching a TV show or a movie, you're locked in. It's like, oh, there's two paths. Which way should we go? Dwayne The Rock Johnson? Let's go this way. Okay, they go that way. You know what I mean? So like, you can't reload, go back, and oh, let's see what that other path's about. So that's just why I like gaming so much. You can be free to do what you want. It's fun. You can play with friends. You can have interactions with friends and people from all over the world. Like, you don't have to be in the same room. Being in the same room, that's something that does need to come back for sure, is couch gaming. There hasn't been a good co-op couch game in a while. Cuphead, I didn't play, but it looked really good. But like, side scroller game like that, it's not really a game for me. The last one I can remember that was an excellent 2-player co-op. You could play online, or I think you could play split screen. Was Halos were the OG, but Dead Space 3 was the last one I can think of, where it was just such a good in-depth co-op game. There were moments where like I'd be doing something and like I was like shooting at what I thought was bugs everywhere in the room, and then my friend I was playing with, he was in a different, like, from his perspective, there was nothing in the room. We were just in an empty room. But he's like, why are you shooting? I'm like, what do you mean? There's stuff everywhere. And like, within the story of the game, they made it seem like my character was losing his mind. So like, it was just so cool that like I was like actually like freaking out, shooting stuff, and then my friend's just like, what are you doing? Like, there's nothing in this room. So stuff like that is just so cool about gaming. You can have characters stretch in gaming and animation again for hundreds of years. Like, we're still getting Mario games, we're still getting Zelda games. We could still, if you wanted, you could still do Metal Gear games. So like, with live action, you get so attached to the character, which is great. Same thing with anime and gaming, but what happens is when that person ages out, it's just different. Like, if someone else right now was to, if they kept the same storyline, Iron Man doesn't die in Marvel. Yeah, it's cool and it's a great character, but like, Robert Downey Jr. just didn't want to do it anymore, you know what I mean? So like, that's the aspect that I'm talking about, where it's like, you need to conform to like some kind of structure. So yeah, he doesn't want to do it anymore. You're just like, yeah, we could switch to a different Iron Man and just keep the story going, figure out different things to do, but then it's not going to have the same appeal because it doesn't have Robert Downey Jr. So we're going to change the whole story. He's going to die, blah, blah, blah. With gaming, it's like, hey, I don't want to do the voice acting anymore on Snake, which they have. No, I think they still use Bill Hader. No, not Bill Hader. What's his name to do the voice? But anyway, it's like, yeah, I don't want to do the voice anymore for this character. It's like, okay, that kind of sucks. So we're going to get someone else to do the voice, but we can still do the animation. We can still create the player because they're fake. They're an animated character. You have to adjust to the voice a little bit, so that sometimes can get a little worse, but you can still keep it going. And that's also a smart thing that gaming does, where there's a lot of games that have characters that don't have a voice or have very little talking, very little stuff, but somehow still make you really care about the character. Great example, Mario. Mario doesn't talk. All he says is like, let's go, woohoo, Mario, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not really saying much, but he's a character you get attached to. The biggest one I can think of is Link. Link says actually nothing. He never talks. He screams and grunts, but that's it. He doesn't have any dialogue in any of the games, but you still get so attached to Link and you continuously want to see him, and that's rare. If you made a movie with no dialogue from a character and it only followed that person, and throughout the game there's very little dialogue, which in Zelda games there's very little dialogue. The old games, they only had text, so there was no dialogue at all. But to make a movie with zero dialogue is tough. Like A Quiet Place did it, but it's just not the same. So that's what I think gaming is the best form of media. Yes, it has taken a slight step back in my opinion because of how much money people are finally realizing that it can make. Back in the day, you could make money from gaming, but like I feel like it wasn't the top priority for people that made video games. I feel like they really just enjoyed making games. That's why companies I still stick with are like Naughty Dog. It's probably the only one I can think off the top of my head is Naughty Dog, because games like that, or like God of War, just the game itself. I don't remember who makes God of War, but people that are on those games, if you listen to their interviews and watch like what they do, they really care about actually making video games. They care, like they play the games, they care about the experience of the game. I know people on Call of Duty that make it, and Battlefield and blah 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 blah. Yes, they care about making good games, but they kind of seem like they just want to make the bare minimum so that way they can meet quotas and make money, blah blah blah. Which I know God of War is trying to do the same, where they're just trying to make money as well because they have investors and everything. But they know that to get those to sell games, they need to make the best game they can make and make it good. Call of Duty is just like, hey man, we already made this game like 20 years ago. We can just kind of throw the same thing, make 2 changes, and we're just gonna keep rolling in money, keep making microtransactions, and that's gonna be our game for probably ever. That's where Halo seems like is going now too, because they didn't have like a single player game. They just had like the multiplayer, which I played for I think a week, and I was just like, it's not really engaging to me. So yeah, that's where I think gaming is. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. A little different video for you. Let me know if you liked it, and you got this thing. Peace.